Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the city of Antioch, which has factored heavily in our story so far, and will again as we continue to speak about Aelia, Eudocia. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Total War Attila, the Eastern Roman Empire, and history. Before, however, we start speaking about history, I want to go over the overall situation in the game at this point, because with every episode, I get a lot of comments and a lot of advice, and oftentimes that advice is contradictory. So just so everyone knows what my priorities are and where I'm heading with this campaign, I want to kind of explain the situation. So, right now, diplomatically, pretty much everyone in the world hates us, with the exception of our allies, the Western Romans, the Ghassanids, Nobatia, and Lazica. Other than that, some forces are neutral to us, like the Sassanids, and most forces, especially in the West, are hostile to us. In the last episode, the Huns, who we had a non-aggression pact with for a long time, decided that they no longer wanted to have that, which puts us in a very dangerous position. Now, we currently have a pretty good surplus of food. However, it is apparent that we are going to need more of it. Now, the only places in our empire with decent fertility are the islands and Egypt. I should say decent fertility that we can exploit. Osroene has good fertility, but it is currently a contested province, and it may be the front line of a war eventually. Bithynia is the next best. Thracia and Dardania do have good fertility, but they are in a very precarious position because we have the Huns and all the other barbarian tribes, so I don't want to invest too much in them just to see my investment wither. In the long run, what my goal is to increase food production in these two provinces, Egypt and the islands, by getting out of sheep and getting into wheat fields, and then I can produce sheep in other provinces. One thing interesting about this game is even if you have a humongous food surplus, each region wants to have its own local food surplus. So it gives me the opportunity to create sheep fields in places where there is no fertility, but that will also contribute to their food, and they will become more happy as a result. From the beginning, another priority of mine was to improve the sanitation of the empire to avoid plagues. I did a pretty good job of that, but now there are two places where sanitation is also a problem. That is here in Asia, where I'm going to solve that problem real quick by improving this to a reservoir, and down here in Tyrus, which I believe is Syria. I'm going to do the same thing here. Now, unfortunately, that takes up a lot of money, and money that I also need to spend improving cities in places like Sinope, Nicomedia, but also frontline cities that I just need better defenses for, like Melitene. Amida and Edessa are level 2. That's fairly good. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is that I have a very limited amount of resources in terms of money. Now, other people who are playing this campaign have taken advantage of the interest rate that you get by playing the Eastern Romans, where you get 5% interest. The problem I have found with this is I've always needed to spend my money each turn on either troops or buildings, and so I've never really been able to carry a lot of interest. Yes, if I would have spent nothing in the first 20 turns and just allowed that money to accumulate, I'd be doing quite well right now in interest. I understand that. But I didn't. And then to stop spending money now when I really need to, especially when I need troops, is going to hinder me. So that's not an option. So I'm going to have to balance things very precariously between developing my cities to improve my economy, but also improve food production and improve public order, while at the same time producing armies and keeping them in fighting shape in two different theaters. It's a tough situation, and it is warranted by how difficult life was for the Romans at this period. So I'm okay with that. Anyway, it looks like this priest here can upgrade. Preach Doom. He will probably be interacting with foreign armies at some point, Sassanid armies. Foreign populace, less, so inspiring troops would probably be a good idea. We'll stick with this. So he'll be really good at preaching doom against enemy armies. In the meantime, is he inspiring this populace or not? I can't really tell. He is, okay, because it says left click to undeploy. So we'll leave him with that. We'll move this gentleman back to Ephesus in his forced march. Okay. And we can't get out of it, but that's okay. This guy down here is definitely doing his job. This territory now is 60% Greek Christian, so he is really doing a good job. Rufinus, of course, we're going to move back to try to get some more boats. In fact, we're going to do that now. Now, I know everyone wants to see Greek fire, but it's just so expensive to maintain that I can't justify it right now. But I will get another skirmisher.
We're going to need a bigger fleet.
And another infantry. Okay. And that should leave me just enough money to recruit another champion. Public order +2. That is useful for an army that's going to be staying in our own lands. Assault action +5. Not as useful because I won't be using this person as much for attacking other agents. But 10 experience per turn. That is good. So this gentleman is going to head over to the east to be with our army that will be defending against the Persians when they decide to attack. And because he was recruited by a handler, he gets some additional bonuses. Let's go with training and provision. Actually, we'll go with one of each here. Perfect. He's irresolute, which hurts his zeal, but there's no problem with that. And he's intelligent, which improves his cunning. So he's ready to go. In order to benefit an army, he's already solid. Alright, good.
At your command.
So here we have Arcadius. Let's finish off these separatists.
To battle, brave Romans!
And that is the end of them.
Make haste, men! Ready for orders.
So let's just check on him real quick. He hasn't received any worse penalties besides his maimed arm, so that's okay. I'm going to try to get him into Sirmium, simply because the public order there is going down, and now, because he is there, it's going up. So that was useful. Alright, this gentleman I'm going to get into a forced march.
You will march till your feet bleed.
And he is... Wow, that's pretty harsh. But he is going to move to the west to try to conquer us some more territory in Africa. He could use a champion too, but I think we're only allowed to have 2 of them. Alright, and this army is ready to go. And Kartli has decided to move their army into our territory, which is really a bad idea on their part. Because now their city is less defended, I can only presume. Now, Armenia hates me, by the way, and I'm sure they'll declare war at any moment. They're in cozy with the Sassanids, so we're going to have some serious problems with them.
For God himself.
I don't know why that took so long to do. But okay, so now we're here, and we could definitely beat Kartli in a one-on-one matchup, so that's... We have Cataphracts. That's a good matchup for us, I think. Maybe we'll be seeing that battle soon. And you, can you recruit an infantry unit? Yes, you can. Let's do so.
For Rome.
And you
Advance.
go back home.
Further orders. Ready for orders.
Alright, so an interesting opportunity presents itself here, because if Carthage falls, then we can retake it. And one cool thing about Carthage is it has incredibly good fertility. It is like the Egypt of the West, so that'll help us with food production. And it also has, apparently, stone. However, there are 2 full-stack armies of Picts, including the Pict king, and there's also the Gaetulians and their king. So, one army of ours, no matter how good, is not going to do very well against all of this without rest and strength. So, the good news, of course, is we have our navy, and we have another army up here that can cross the channel real quick if necessary.
Ready for orders.
And we have this this army, and we are going to embark.
Returning to shore.
And now we're back in our own territory.
Is that all?
Now, what I'd like to see him do is, just in case Salona falls to these 2 full-stack armies of Quadians, I just keep destroying the Quadians, and they just keep coming back. We can take Salona for ourselves, which I think is fine, because it's on the water, it's easily defended, it's in our sphere. Where I don't want to go is I don't want to go outside of our sphere. Like, I don't want to take any of the Sassanid lands. I just want to take Africa and just this little stretch of coast. Anything coastal that I can defend, I think would be a good idea for me. And finally, tech. Now here's the thing. I've really put some thought into this, and I've decided that losing these legacy techs is pretty much something that I can afford to do, with the exception of this last one, which is concrete. That gets rid of the aqueduct and the sewers, which are 2 things that I really need. Sanitation's a really big problem. Now, prior to that, we lose the cloaca and the aqueduct network, but I don't really even have any of those. Those are level 4, not a lot of those, so that's not a big deal. So I can continue to invest in technology up till about here, and that's when I'm going to have to make a decision. And it's also very expensive. It's 25,000. But why I would want to do this is because it gives you +2 public order across the board in your entire empire, and then you get an additional +1 here. Now, +3 might not seem like too much, but across my entire empire, it would be very helpful, especially because public order is something that I desperately need. Now, also, I can invest in this, which will not do much for me in the tech itself, but will give me -5% recruitment cost. However, I've made the decision that 5% is not a lot right now, and I'd rather spend the money to improve my fishing wharfs, because those are a source of food that are not, as far as I understand, affected by climate change. So I'm going to research this, then possibly this, and then possibly this to get the public order bonus, and then we'll go back up into the military. I may decide, if wars start, to jump up here, but we'll see. Right now, my plan is to get the fishing wharfs. Alright. So after her Cinderella-style marriage to the Emperor, Aelia Eudocia's brothers, who were so cruel to her before, became rightly afraid for their lives, and they expected her to take revenge against them. However, because Aelia Eudocia was a very nice person, she didn't. She actually invited both of them to the capital, and they were invested with lavish honors and positions in the Roman government. Eudocia, as empress, had 3 children with Theodosius II. Only one survived, and that was their eldest daughter, and by the time she was 1 year old, Eudocia was named Augusta. Now, this is interesting because in doing so, she took over the position that was held by the emperor's sister, Pulcheria. Now, from this point forward in Eudocia's life, it will be defined very strongly by her relationship with Pulcheria, because when the emperor was but a child, Pulcheria raised him, taught him, explained to him how to be an emperor. She wielded all the power. And now, all of a sudden, she has competition. Wow, this was unexpected. We have a just immense army of Quadians, a full stack, and they have decided to leave Salona alone and come and attack us in Dyrrachium. Well, you know what? We're going to lose this battle. There's nothing to it, but we are going to fight it out. To try to at least hold our own as best as possible. So Eudocia was named Augusta. So she, like Aelia, Eudocia before her, had a lot of power in her own right. She and Pulcheria were very different people. Pulcheria was kind of a bitch. Let's just be fair. She was instrumental in persecutions against Jews, against pagans, against Christian heretics. She was very intolerant, whereas Eudocia was incredibly tolerant. Remember now, she used to be a pagan, and she was just really a good, nice person. So she often got into conflict with Pulcheria because she expressed tolerance while Pulcheria was exactly the opposite. And there was almost a need for her to prove her piety all the time because Pulcheria was always making insinuations that she wasn't pious enough. All right. Let's get our boats on land, or at least as close to as possible, so that they can come out and help. Now, there is a lot going on here. They have a land-based force already here, with 2 units of cavalry. So let's meet them with our Lanciarii Seniores, whom we will move up right away so we can maximize the benefit of our tower. Meanwhile, I guess we just have to watch and wait and see what they do. If they land and decide to come at us from the north, the only way they can really do that is through here. This is a very well-defended town. They've built the houses in such a way that there's not that many entrances to town. Now, they could, on the other hand, decide just to land, I guess, here at our wharf and attack from here. That could be a problem. But otherwise, this place is very well-defended. I really sincerely hope that they don't raze it to the ground, because that would really suck, and it would hurt my economy quite a bit. So let's leave our cavalry kind of in the middle so that they can be utilized. I'll put the barricade here, since I don't think I'm going to defend this angle. And that leaves us with our Comidatenses. And I'm just going to have them... Actually, I'm going to have them stay where they are, too. They and the Exploradores will react to how the situation develops. Okay, you guys, I would like you to land, please. Can you do that for me? What is going on? Okay, why aren't you... Am I doing something wrong here?
Fools! Wiser men would flee before our numbers.
Oh, shoot. Wow, I did not expect them to move so fast. Alright, how come you're not getting off your boats? Did I do something wrong here? Oh, there we go. Alright, you... There we go. And you... Here. Quickly. Why was that opportunity just taken away? Okay. Well, at least these guys look like they're landing. Alright, so apparently this unit can't land. Although I don't understand why. Oh, another ship is already heading this destination. Oh, one of the enemy ships. That's interesting.
The enemy is going for our general. Protect him.
Okay, so we defeated the cavalry. Well, we didn't defeat them so much as we had them go off in a different direction. Okay, I see what's happening here. That's kind of dumb that they can tie up your docks even before they've gotten there. So your troops can't disembark?
Assault ships ready for attack. Give way!
Although it looks like you will have to find an alternative landing place. God, what a hassle this is.
More to fire.
I'm just going to have to, unfortunately, lose this unit of Marines. They're going to get attacked. Let's see if we can't just charge their general. That would be so cool if we could do some damage to him. Alright, so they've landed spearmen. These guys are on their way. Looks like they're coming straight from the ocean, so it doesn't appear as if the towers are going to be of much use to us. Maybe this one up here. Oh, look at these horsemen. I didn't even notice them. Are they coming up here? Yeah. Alright. So maybe I'll move my spearmen up here and just hold that tower as long as possible. Alright, we can move up the speed a little bit. Maybe not. So Eudocia also valued education, and she recognized the need to blend a classical education, a classical pagan education like what she received, with Christianity and Christian overtones. So she was instrumental in trying to kind of make education adapt those two areas. All right, let's get...
The general has been killed.
Yes!
Excellent.
All right, we got their general. That's good. Now we just have to make it... We're just going to sacrifice our exploradores. Meanwhile, they're going to come up here. So we'll have our Legio say hello to them in a testudo formation, hopefully. And we won that battle. Amazing. Now, unfortunately, we can't actually... Well, we didn't win it yet, I don't think, but we're winning it. But their boats have taken up all the landing areas. Okay, our cavalry could be useful somewhere. They're too late. They're going to make it to the tower before we can. Alright, cavalry, just find something to do. Meanwhile, we have some guys here. Pikes. That's not good. That is not good at all. Just testudo up. Meanwhile, can we get around them? We'll try to do that. Let's just attack him. So because of the tension between Pulcheria and Eudocia, eventually Eudocia was forced to leave the city. She had to prove her Christian credentials, so she went on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, to Jerusalem. And this was a well-known event and very famous because she gave a speech in the city of Antioch. And that was one of the most famous events of her life. Her address to the city of Antioch was the cause of, as I mentioned in the first episode of Eudocia, the cause of people believing that she was from Antioch instead of Athens. And the reason is, she gave a speech to the entire city and the Senate, and in this speech, she basically expounded upon her Greek culture and their shared Greek culture, as Athens and Antioch had a very special relationship and shared a lot of cultural elements. And in this address, at least in part of this address, she gave it in what is called Homeric hexameter. That is the style of epic poetry that the poet Homer used in like the Iliad and the Odyssey. Okay, we got to get our cavalry away from these pikes. And so to really understand the resonance of this speech, you need to understand that the cultural ties between Antioch and Athens were strong, and that the Hellenistic culture was very prevalent in Antioch. And so she expounded upon the value of Hellenic culture, the history of it, its glory days, and its value to Rome. And then she ended her address. And I know, by the way, that we're losing this battle. There's not much I could really do here. We're so outnumbered that I'm just trying to take as many of them out with me as I can. They even got me blocked here from utilizing my cavalry effectively. Maybe I can come around and attack these guys from behind. But she effectively brought the house down in this speech when she told the people and the Senate of Antioch, and she actually quoted Homer, where she said, "I boast that I am of your race and blood." And everybody went crazy at this point, and she was like a rock star in the city of Antioch. They were just amazed by this smart, cultured, Hellenic Roman queen, or Augusta, I should say. They erected 2 statues in her honor, one made out of gold and one made out of bronze. And no. And at least we're doing some damage. Oh, man. Her trip to the Holy Land, however, did not save her. And almost immediately upon returning back to Constantinople with holy relics and this newfound sense of religiousness, piety, things became tense once again. If you remember from the first episode about Eudocia, the emperor's best friend Paulinus was helping him find a wife. Well, in another probably fictionalized telling of the story, the emperor, Theodosius II, gave Eudocia an apple, a very rare and beautiful large apple. And later, when the emperor was talking to his best friend Paulinus, Paulinus showed him the apple, and oh my god, we just caused them all to rout.
The men are losing hope.
But it's too little too late.
Down their weapons and are fleeing.
Let's see if we can't. No, I was trying to get these guys from behind, but now they've regrouped. I don't want the cavalry to be engaged here. So the emperor, as a result of seeing this apple shown to him by his best friend, became convinced that Eudocia and Paulinus were having an affair. And Eudocia, of course, denied this and said it wasn't happening. Were they really having an affair or not? I couldn't say. Historians don't really speculate. But the emperor, as a result, banished her from the city to Jerusalem, and he executed Paulinus. Now, none of the reading I've done on Eudocia mentions this, but I kind of recognize this story, which is probably fictionalized. I'm not saying they might have really had an affair. The emperor might have really thought they had an affair. He obviously really did banish her and execute his friend. But the tale about the apple, it sounds to me to be very biblical in nature. Let's just take out these skirmishers. That's really all we can do at this point. You know, like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, how the forbidden fruit, you know? And how Eve was tempted by the devil and she ate an apple, and then she convinced Adam to do that as well and kind of led to his downfall. And I just see a lot of kind of biblical overtones in this telling of the story of Eudocia and Paulinus. Yeah, well, we did the best we could. We managed to rout a few of them. That was really exciting. We're still going strong in this corner of the world. Although now we have pikemen on the way. So that's certainly going to be a problem. This boat is trying to land, but it's taking an awful long time. Can you not go faster?
The men are broken and running for their lives.
You know, I'm proud. I'm proud of how they did. They did pretty well. So at the end of Eudocia's life, she spent it in Jerusalem, but she did not just sit around waiting to die. She actually handled and cared for her needs like a boss. Like, let me just tell you a couple stories about her days in Jerusalem while this battle kind of ends up. The emperor, for one reason or another, sent his comes domesticorum, which, if you'll recall, was the head of his bodyguard unit that followed him around, his elite bodyguard unit. There were 2 leaders of it, 1 infantry, 1 cavalry. So he sent one of them to Jerusalem, for one reason or another, to arrest 2 of Eudocia's confidants, a priest and a bishop, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. And the story goes that she actually killed this guy with her bare hands. She just took him out. And again, one of the strongest and most powerful men in the empire. And as a result, she was deprived of her household. No repercussions were given to her. She didn't lose her money or her fame, but she lost her entire servants and household and all those people. She continued, however, to fight against persecution of the Jews and of the pagans. She was instrumental in building a new set of walls around the city of Jerusalem. She supported the Monophysites and almost was participatory in a rebellion they led that was crushed, but again, she suffered no reprisals personally. She wrote a ton of literature and poetry during this time, much of which we still have access to today. And she got to hang out with famous literary figures and cultural figures of the Roman Empire at this period. She died on October 20th in the year 460 of natural causes. So Aelia Eudocia, she seems like a really intelligent, capable, and kind person who, unfortunately, due to the machinations of the emperor's sister, who was kind of a catty bitch, she unfortunately did not have the influence and the life that she deserved and could have. However, she made the most of what she had. She was a rags to riches story, and the people of Jerusalem absolutely adored her. The people of Antioch absolutely adored her, and she was so politically powerful that even after single-handedly murdering the emperor's leader of the emperor's bodyguard, there were no reprisals against her, and they couldn't do anything about it. So I'd say she was pretty cool. Alright, we lost this battle. We didn't do very well, all things considered. We only took out about 1,000 of their guys. Now the question is, before the end of the episode, will we lose the province or not? Or will they just raid it? Looks like they're just raiding it. Okay. And now these guys are... I would like them to attack Aelia. I think we could fight them off and that would be the end of them. Sorry if that battle was a little boring. I wanted to finish off the history about Eudocia because I've been going really slow in terms of history over the past few episodes. And I wanted to move a little faster instead, so I just kind of ran out the clock there, and I apologize for that, but there was no way I was going to win that battle anyway, so I didn't give it my full attention. But we do have some battles coming up that will be getting my full attention against the Quadians. We're going to take some revenge, and against Lazica. So, once again, thank you so much for watching. I'm Marcus Aurelius. Have a good one.